Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today we're at episode number 4 of Mild Melty Cheeses, where we're looking at raclette. So that's a French name from, some's made in France, some is made in the French part of Switzerland, some's made in the German part of Switzerland. But it is one of those melty cheeses, and it has a whole cultish food thing about it with little appliances and little toaster ovens and grills and doodads and things, and a whole set of things that you do when you're melting raclette and eating it with things. So I don't know all about that, and I'm not going to try any of that. I will link to a couple of videos that will educate you on that if you haven't heard of that. But I'm just approaching it as a mild melty cheese because I found it in Liz Thorpe's wonderful book, The Book of Cheese. And here in the Havarti Gateway, which is her mild or meltier type of cheese section, and her gateway scheme is, if you like Havarti, you'll probably like this, you'll probably like that, you'll probably like Gouda, you'll probably like Tomes, all these other things. So here's the page on raclette, which explains that it's got some odd flavors. Olive and cooked onions. She recommends a couple of brands. Aroma, stinky, bodily, far off gas station. So interesting, and I'm picking up some of those things in this. So you don't have to be very close to it to smell those. So we're going to just taste it on crackers, taste it in pairings, and I'm going to melt some on some asparagus at the end. I got a glass of wine here for the pairing also. So let's dig into this and see what it's like. It is that one's not all that smelly. Let's see this guy. Oh yeah, this one is more smelly. So I got two different brands here, and they were wrapped by the grocery stores where I got them, or the cheese shops where I got them, so they aren't showing much of the branding, but I'll be able to find some pictures to show you what their branding looks like. But these were both imported Swiss Raclette cheeses. So I'm cutting this small piece from a brand called Emmi, E-M-M-I. So that ought to get me started. And I'll taste one piece just by itself. Creamy, buttery, slightly funky. The weird notes she's describing, well, those were aromas. There's not a lot of it. So that's pretty good, pretty smooth. Can't necessarily tell it has a texture that would melt well. It's a little stiff and firm. I think these are maybe 3 or 4 months old. On a salty, oily crostini. All the flavors are popping. That's you can taste the salt, you can taste all the fat, lots of things are rolling around there. Oh man, that's good. Okay, I like that. I'll put another piece on a lower salt Triscuit. Okay, that gets along well. It's facing the direction of, or it's leaning in the direction of a salty, savory type of thing. There's more notes around the edge of popping out, but they're not real strong. So I'm liking that, and I think I'll try it on a piece of flatbread because everything's been pretty salty so far. Let's let the cheese be the salty thing. Okay, so the Emmi Raclette is pretty good when the cheese has to drive because the flatbread is so bland. That's working. All the flavors are there, and the salt takes the cracker along with it. So I get less dairy on the flatbread than I did in the other parts. than I did with the other crackers. This one's a little bit... I haven't been mentioning much in the series so far that the milk is almost always from cow. But there's going to be a goat Gouda and a sheep Gouda if I can find it in the area. But these tend to be mostly cow milk cheeses. So I'm going to go after my Mifroma brand raclette. And I got a much bigger chunk of it. And it's pretty wet when I unwrapped it. And there's a little dry spot back here. I mean, the rind is going to be a little drier and harder. I was thinking that was mold at first, but I don't think it is. We will see. So I need to get a few pieces off of this guy. It is wet, sticky. It's not slicing like a cheddar, but it's a softer, wetter cheese. Oh, let's do some more. Okay, that should keep me going. Well, that's fine. Oh, something stinky is in the room now. So I'll just take this piece. Mmm. Stronger aroma, stronger flavor. Stinky feet, socks are in there. They're not real strong, but it's part of the gamish that I'm tasting here. So I'm going to get a little piece on some flatbread. The strong, savory, oniony, sulfury type flavors are in there, and they're stronger on the flatbread. So this one has a whole different character than the Emmi. Wow, interesting how different they are. And this multi-grain cracker with a lot of seeds, all those flavors were popping. It was about the same saltiness as the cracker. Ooh, I like all that. That's working. So let's see how my rye cracker breaks. Oh, that's good. I want a nice big piece on here. I think I'll pull off this little bit of rind. Yeah, I can't really peel it. It just kind of breaks off the whole edge. Oh, okay, there it goes. That's probably all gone. We'll see. If I spit out something, I can edit that out. Okay, let's go on a rye cracker. Wow, nice cheese, nice mouthfeel, buttery, creamy texture, and the flavors are tussling with the strong flavors of the rye. It's not salted, but it's got more character than these other crackers for the most part. More. Okay, that hides or envelops or covers up some of the strong flavors that are in the rye. That's interesting how such a bland cracker without salt can take on and compete with the stinky cheese. That's really interesting. So this piece I got very recently, and this piece I've had for probably a month, and I had to cut off a few specks of mold on the outside. I think I got the Emmi at Whole Foods. I don't remember where I got this. Some grocery store with a good cheese department. But this texture doesn't suggest, when you chew it up in your mouth, doesn't suggest that it's going to melt well. This one is wet and pasty, and you think it's going to melt easily. So two textures are very different, maybe based on their age. So I still have pieces here. Let's get a couple more for some of the pairings. So one thing I wanted to try, let's see, which one should I do it with? I want to do fresh mango with a more flavorful cheese here. I just don't know how big a piece I need, or if I'll even be able to hold it. Mango's so slippery usually. Okay, just cheese, a good chunk of mango. It's not super juicy. It'd be better in a day or two, but it's fruity and wet enough. Wow. That worked great. And the mango is very wet, and the cheese is much less wet. And then there's no salt in the mango, and the salted cheese has a good contrast there. And the fruitiness of the mango really popped out and went with the savory things, or contrasted with the savory things. I don't know which one it would be. That was good. Okay. I want to try it with the less flavorful raclette here. Smallish piece of mango on the Emmi Raclette. Same sort of contrast. This doesn't strike me as as salty as this one, but I got some of the funky flavors because of the contrast and fruitiness and freshness and juiciness of the mango in there. Wow, interesting. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's take some of the stinkier stuff. Take off that rind or wrapper, and just very few pieces of bacon. Let's see how that goes. Four little squares. Bacon bomb over the fussiness of the cheese. I like that one. That's good. So makes me want to try. Man, these things don't break. Hold it together in my fingers. I'm going to put on a little of the less funky cheese and do a few golden raisins. And don't really know how many to do. These are mild in flavor, different than dark raisins. And let's find out. Okay, so the golden raisins don't have enough flavor to stand up to the even the milder of the raclettes here. And there's no texture contrast. So the raisins are soft and squishy, and the cheese is kind of soft and squishy. So that one didn't work. And I might want to do one more with the funkier cheese here. I don't know if I should just build it from a bunch of pieces. Scraps, yeah. And again, pistachios are dangerous. They're so mild, they might turn out like the golden raisins. The cheese doesn't really have a nuttiness. Like I thought it might. Okay, so I'll put on 5 into this thing. I hope it holds together. So the flavor goes well. The mild, nutty pistachios do have some flavor up against the cheese. But the pieces were too big. So you gotta really crunch and bite and chew into the pistachios and break them up before you get the flavor spread all around. So you'd want to grind them up into much smaller pieces, and before you use them with that cheese and in a pairing like that. Rinse. I want to get a few pieces of the funkier cheese here ready to go for the wine pairing. And I got this idea from Liz in the back of the book, well, back of the chapter. She has some real interesting sections at the end of each chapter where she says, here's a real approachable list of things with Havarti types. Here's the real intense flavored suggestions. And then you can do different tastings. So intense flavored cheeses, approachable cheeses, different countries. Or cow milk Gouda, goat milk Gouda, sheep milk Gouda. But down here on pairings that are suggested, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down at the bottom, lighter tannin red wines like Pinot Noir, Grenache, and Syrah. From dark from light to dark fruit with good acidity but lacking mouth-puckering tannin that can draw out the bitterness of intense Havarti types. You'll get the PB&J type effect minus the sugar. So, I got a Pinot Noir from Monterey County, California from 2018. And it's been poured and sitting out for a while. So I think I'll just do a sip and cheese and sip. Let's see how this gets along with the cheese. Yeah, modest to low acidity, not really tanniny, not nearly the big, bold flavors of a cab. No stinky cheese. That's a good contrast. Fruitiness, slight bit of acidity, and tanginess, funkiness of the cheese. I'm liking that. That goes pretty well. Let me do the less intense cheese. Goes well too. It's still a nice contrast. Creaminess, buttery, dairy notes, and then the fruitiness of the wine. It goes, it goes, it goes. And now for my last trick, I'm going to melt some of this raclette on some of this guy on some steamed asparagus. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with my melting cheese project. So I steamed some asparagus for 8 or 9 minutes. And then once it was done, I put it on the plate and put some pieces of raclette on it. The less stinky one, the Emmi. And then I melted it in the microwave. Maybe 3 sessions at 10-15 seconds each. Let's make a little room here. So, hope I don't burn myself, because the asparagus was steaming hot, and then it got microwaved more. Okay, so I think I have good pieces here. Just stab a few and give it a try. Kind of stringy cheese. Mmm. Okay, the hotter cheese has more aromas. So it was the less funky one at room temperature, but there's a little fustiness here too. And once you're done stringing, and then the asparagus has all sorts of sulfury, funky notes too. They get along so well together. So I used to make cheese sauces for asparagus, cauliflower, broccoli, with milk, maybe cornstarch, butter, flour, roux type things. And this might be just better. So I'm dying to learn a few more cheeses in this series that are good for melting like this. It's not called Kraft or Velveeta. This is a full fat, full salt, cheesy gamish on top of this stuff. This is good. So the cheese melts well. After the video, I might go eat the steam and eat the ends with the other kind of cheese. So this is totally successful on this part. So if you like the videos you've been seeing here, please give this one a thumbs up. Leave comments and questions below. Share it with friends. And subscribe to the channel. Click that bell to get notified when the new videos come out. And we will move on to our next interesting melty cheese next time. So cheers.